Hello, we're glad to see you all today. We're not professional speakers, we're practitioners. We have a school of targeted education, and it's more of a community than a school. We'd like to have a live conversation, preferably with questions and answers, but in order for you to understand what kind of experience we have and what can you ask, we will tell about ourselves a bit, and then we'll be happy to have a live conversation. May I say that this is an unusual and not a very pleasant even space where we are from. Usually we have a little circle and we're here and there, we're divided. So if you want to fall asleep, you can do it up there, and if you want to talk, come down, come closer, because we usually practice rather than speak. We're, professionals. Okay, we'll tell you briefly how it all started. Like many new schools, it started as several families who realized they didn't want to take their kids to normal schools. And it turned out we have 3 families, and one family had a photographer, mathematician, a manager. Wow, we have so many resources. And basically we could share that with other families. And what if we have other families? Every family has its own resources. Mathematicians, musicians, some people can cook really well, some are good at psychology, some are good travelers, so there are lots of layers that we could share with each other, and we thought it's going to be cool to bring together lots of families who could just share their resources, and that would be cool too. So that's how we started. We had tons of meetings and people said, yeah, please join, and it was so inspiring. But it started as, we're so good, you're so good, let's get together and be nice. There was a lot of sparks there, but in the first year it seemed like a trap. Because when we started, we didn't quite understand where the ship was going to sail. We felt we were so good and we're all going in the right direction, but it turned out we all had a different concept in our heads. And after the first year, we had a big split. It was very difficult on one hand, but then we also practically understood that it was happiness, and everybody understood where they wanted to go. So this was a year where everybody understood that, okay, I want this, I don't want that, I want to go here and there. And it related to everyone, both kids and adults. May I add that during the first year, Masha and I, we attended the first Idec in Israel, and we were really inspired. With self-targeted education, we visited schools, we met with graduates, and we came back so inspired. All the 3 of us with my husband, and everybody else was like, what? What's that? What is it all about? And there was this willingness, it was so nice, it was so inspiring, let's do a little bit of basics and then we'll have all kinds of freedom. And so our split was based on the fact that we realized that we could not serve 2 masters at the same time. Either it's freedom or it's basic plus something else, but that's a totally different cup of tea. And I think many people felt this as well. When you start on the path of freedom, you can't stop. You take one step out of school, you take another step, okay, maybe maths is not more important than football, and so on and so forth. And it runs without an end. You want the full freedom, you don't want to, force yourself into 4 hours of language studies in the morning, and so on. Our space was inspired with the Sudbury model. I think many of you, those of you who don't know about Sudbury Valley School, will tell you a bit more. Sudbury School doesn't have any schedule at all. It can only appear if Larysa and I agree that we want to do dancing and we want to do it on Mondays. But it's nothing like, okay, now I go to Russian class and then maths and that's it. You come into the space and you fully independently decide what you're going to do and who you're going to do it with. Well, for the sake of history, the school, Sudbury School, started in 1968 in Massachusetts. The school is more than 50 years old. They have lots of graduates and they do lots of studies, what their graduates are doing in life. Have you heard about Summerhill? Yes, Sudbury is very similar model to Summerhill. But it's not a boarding school. And without schedule. If you've heard that and said, wow, we love this free system, then Sudbury is yet another step away from schedules. You decide who you do, what you do, and or you do nothing, and that's a perfectly normal option as well. We are very different from any other school in the sense that all of our parents are inside, are on the inside. And we wanted to talk about this because clearly parents are the most important people in the life of kids and in the life of school. They're parents of our kids, they're sources of funding, and it's everything. And it's no secret that sometimes parents are a source of a lot of concern. Like this, yeah. What's happening? Why are our kids jumping naked? And that was in April, and it's pretty cold in Moscow region. Why are they in the t-shirts? Why are they undressed? Why are they wearing wet t-shirts? So our response to that alarm of parents is that parents have to be on the inside. Our space is done purely by parents, and our parents get transformed more than the kids within the space. In the second year, like Larysa said, we removed the focus from kids at all. We said that the second year is schooling for parents. Forget what you're doing for the kids. You shouldn't be baking pies because you want Petya to know how many spoons of sugar you've put. You can only bake pies if you want this. Do what you want to do. And this was an eye-opener for the parents. You find yourself in a space where nobody tells you what to do. From 10 to 5, and you, as an adult, need to understand what you need to do. There are no instructions whatsoever. You can bake pies, you can learn integrals, and when the parents found themselves in this environment, they started understanding the kids really well. That this is not doing nothing. This is about understanding yourself, what I want. I'm so used to having a schedule and running around, and here I have a chance to understand and to define what I want. And through this present inside, parental alarm really subsides. Such a wonderful conference, so much inspiration, as it seems to me. But, sense what it's like to be a kid in this environment where you must choose what you must do. How do you spend every minute of your time? Early last year, one boy did this poster. We were writing posters with rules about washing dishes, eating at your table, and he wrote, "You're the only one who decides how to spend your free time." And then he crossed away the word free. Only you decide how to spend your time. We get many guests. And I think this poster speaks very clearly about what this space is about. You're an adult and you're a child. And you can spend your time as you like. You can sit on the sofa with a cup of tea, chat to someone, find out who was doing what during the weekend. You can make pots. You can play some piano. Maybe somebody will come and will want to play. This is Zina. Why did they talk about rules? About eating at the table. But drinking can be anywhere. Perfect question for discussion. I just wanted to introduce Zina. She's my daughter. I didn't know she wanted to be here. She was in the alley of schools with Slimers, and this is a Slimer she made. Unfortunately, the speaker isn't using the microphone. Yes, this was a great example. This was a very good example how a child took the microphone and said something is wrong here. So when the kids are in this environment, they really feel confident, they feel like an adult, and they can tell adults that you're breaking the rules, let's figure it out.
Для переводчиков задавать вопросы в микрофон. Мы побегаем по ступенькам. Хорошо, Денис. Да, и для родителей, которые внутри нашего проекта, важно.
For parents who are inside of our project, it's important that we're not a service. So when there is a situation when you bring your child somewhere, there's always this, you're like coming with the inspection. Okay, you have a lot of questions why things are this way or the other way. There is a horse stable, but there is no swimming pool. So our space is not a ready product, and together with the families we do it together. And so there is a bit of a scary interview. We honestly say what you're joining. Okay, guys, your children will be playing all day. They will be playing all. Is that okay? Okay. Children may not be interested with math. They can go fishing. Is that okay? Okay. And then one of the main principles, do it. Take it and do it. If you want to talk about some super method, like there is no mandatory things. You cannot say, okay, I created a super method. Each morning you should come to me. You can do it, but nobody is obliged to join you. So this approach, who created it removes the laws. If you want to do it, do it, and then you can deal with yourself. Why didn't you do it? I can always do it. Take it and do it is a good inside check, sort of. Do I really want to do this? Do I want to devote? And I simply want to just to be noticed. This is great. I want to be noticed. If you're not ready to do it, if you're not ready to invest your time and resources, then it would be simply just a facade, you know. I would like to end about who created this. Who created this is the rule of the people. I would like to add that in the space, everything stands upon things For instance, we have a big workshop. Vova, it exists because he loved the workshop, the woodworks, and these are the products of the workshop. They're endless. Vova, 90% spends about. He brings his own tools. He brings lots of tools. It's all inside. They're doing a lot of woodwork, and it's being used for games, for plays. Vova is improving his boxes, his doors and shelves. He wants it. He buys the wood, he buys the tools. We don't have wealthy sponsors who can do, super workshop. These things actually exist because of the people who want this to be. So you understand that in this space exists because, not it's because it's needed, but it's because somebody really wants it. Thanks to Larysa, there is a musical instrument because Larysa loves music. Or costumes appeared because of the boy who would like to change dresses. And so I would like to move away from this. Oh, it's so great. A very important component of this space, and we actually got burnt initially, but then implemented it. It's freedom without rules. It's not a freedom. It's a mess. It's an anarchy. And from day one, as soon as we rented the house, it's beautiful, big and clean, and on the floor, there was a rule on the first floor. Let's eat only here, and all the rules are established, adopted, changed altogether. Not altogether because they're forced. Well, we're gathered. Those who they come to the general gathering and they have an opportunity to impact what's happening in the space and how the rules are formed. Because this is actually about woodwork. This young man who is 11-year-old who loves the woodworks, he actually created the rules to safety rules for tools, and they were adopted, and he's responsible for this part. Now they're just wood tools, because we're a family club, and we have a 2-year-old and 3-year-olds, and simply the presence of the machine tools can be dangerous, but regarding the rules, how they're adopted, we can talk later. If we're talking, we have a parent whose name is Lyosha Krendel. He can do a lot of things. So he spoke about the super workshop, right? So we have a big table that he made. This is regarding resources. The adults, we are a wealth of resources. We can have an economic education, musical education. We have an experience. We live somewhere. We communicated with different people, and this combined experience is something that no school, by hiring different teachers, they cannot provide it. Plus the interest of the families, as Masha says. Parents are the closest people. From Zina's comment, because apart from the fact that we do have Lyosha Krendel, who he has a workshop on handmade And actually the woodwork workshop is actually relying on Vova rather than somebody else. Well, let's comment pictures a little bit here. Why it's important that the parents are inside. We have one feedback from one of the parents. She says that I'm interested. She does ceramics. Very often, this is not very interesting for our children. So when they come to this environment, there are some other adults or kids who are interested in this. But those who are dreaming to share this knowledge, there are some other people who are ready to listen. So this is about adult ego that we want to transfer some knowledge about our children who would like to listen to this. So very important that they're inside of this community. There are always talks that are being supported, and every day you can talk about your fears, and it makes your motherhood easier. One mother said that I have a lot of pains with my children, some things that we as soon as it happens, but when we're in this space we can see that other parents are reacting on my child differently, not because they have this everyday pain with the children, so it's easier. On the one hand, you're near, but you're not having a usual reaction because there are many people to the village of connectedness, and you don't have to be the only two parents that are bringing the children, but they are growing in this large group of people of different age, and actually parenthood is not a big deal, as it turns out. Nobody will push for them for some knowledge. How do you adopt the rules? What's happening? Okay, yeah. I'm sorry. How do you adopt the rules? How do we implement them, and what happens if they don't work? Or if they're breached? Okay, so all the participants are equal participants. It doesn't matter how old are you. And no, starting from 5-year-old, because this very, very small ones are with the parents, and starting from 5, you're a full-fledged member as a creator of rules and regulations. So we have a general circle, and you can offer any rule. You can write it before. If you don't know how to write, you can ask your friend, and at this general meeting, if they want to write it, or if they want to come to the super circle, right? So we have 5 minutes left, and this suggestion is brought to the general meeting, and then it's announced. We have 2 readings. One reading is at this super circle or general meeting. Everybody are talking about their issues without criticizing this issue. Whatever you're surprised with, or you want to add something, or you're afraid of something. And this first reading is just a discussion, and then in a week this offer go through a second reading over the weekend, actually. And it's important because it removes the emotional stress. It kind of fits into the head of the participants. Those who offered, they heard certain questions, corrections, and then second reading, they can hear all the corrections and add to their offer, and then you can say, okay, I heard you on the second reading, but the majority votes it's if the rule is adopted, it works, then you can change it even further with the same procedure. It's not scary for other participants. For instance, oh, weird rule, But why don't we adopt it? Because if it's not going to work through the same procedures, we can change it. And Larysa will continue. So very briefly, please look how it works at Sudbury Valley School. Adoption of decisions. Imagine we lived for 2.5 years without protecting the rules. Regarding the breaches, we adopted we had a committee at Sudbury Valley. It's called Judicial Committee, JC. How they work, I'm just advising you. I will tell you. I started to translate the book on Sudbury Valley. And this is a committee that gathers. There are members of jury. Anybody can write a complaint. Either they see some breaches or disagree with something or see some conflict. And then this application is reviewed by Judicial Committee, and there is a decision whether the rule was breached. And there is an agreement between plaintiff and maybe the person didn't know about the rule or forgot about it until the serious. For instance, you cannot use tools for 3 days, and the result is to bring the person's attention to this breach. Not to punish, but just to draw attention. Maybe it's difficult because usually the same people do the same breaches. Do you invite people? Do you have professional academics who are reading the academic courses, and how many people are together with you? How many adults are with your kids? We had stories when we invited someone. It happened through the desire of the participants of this environment. It was discussed whether we want it, whether we can afford. Yes, we invited people. It worked. And if it wasn't needed, then academically nobody came. We had a teacher of theater. So the children of founders, they went to this group, and no, we're fully. There is no math, and there is no Russian, no English. We believe that the children will take it. It doesn't exist in a way that we're used to, like somebody's reading the book, oh, I think it will be that way or the other way, yeah. Let's read together. So we do it. I was riding by and I saw the video. That's how they put it together. What do you think? And we spent 5 minutes, and then it goes growing. The seed is cooler than the traditional 45 minutes. I'm interested what's next. Okay, children live in a certain socium where there are certain rules. We're not talking about business people. Ну, как бы постарайтесь микрофоном. So therefore, okay, the child wants to be a manager, but a manager who will be providing. In order to get a good position, the child should get a
Вы про
certain
ребенка,
education.
который хочет стать менеджером, который должен получить для
Are
этого
you
какое-то
talking
образование.
about a child who wants to be a manager and get some kind of education?
А кто хочет стать директором?
Who wants to become a director?
Ребенок уже
A
хочет
child
быть
who wants to be a director?
Да.
Children grow up.
Да.
We all grow up, no matter
Да.
how much.
Я, наверное, поняла вопрос.
I
Наверное, в то же
understood your
время.
question.
Смотрите,
What's next?
я сошлюсь на опыт
I will refer to the
многих школ, которые
experience
мы
of many
посещали.
schools that
Я
we
вот за последние
visited.
полгода посещила 3
Over 6
Садбуры
months,
школы.
I
Я
visited
смотрю,
3 Sudbury schools.
изучаю этот вопрос, встречаюсь
I look
с
at it.
выпускниками,
I
встречаюсь с
meet the
родителями
graduate, the
выпускников.
parents of the
Все
graduates.
находят способ
Everybody find the way
найти свою
to
дальше
find
дорогу.
their further
Если человек
path.
горит чем-то,
The
если он
person
хочет
wants
быть
to do
доктором,
something, the person wants to be a doctor.
он готов изучать химию.
They're
Он
ready
готов для
to
химии
study
изучить всю
chemistry.
математику,
They
которая нужна.
are ready
Это
to
когда
study
цель,
all
да, вот
math.
когда ребенок, молодой человек,
So when the young person or the
понимает, что ему
child
нужно,
understands what he or she wants,
тогда начинается
then
настоящее что-то
there
такое,
is
серьезный
something
процесс.
real, some serious process.
Я всегда не забуду, когда одна мама на школьном собрании, которое уже
I will
не
never
остались,
forget when
до
one
того, как
mother,
произошел раскол, всё такое.
before the
Она
split
сказала,
up, she said,
я проучилась,
I
закончила
studied,
университет,
I
и 10
finished the
лет
university, and
спустя
10
я
years
ищу
ago,
себя.
I'm
Ищу, чем
still
заниматься. Мы
looking for
пытаемся этот процесс ускорить для детей и начать, чтобы они
myself
прямо
and trying
сейчас
to find out what
понимали
I'm
себя,
supposed to do.
решали, чем им
We are
заниматься.
trying to
И мы
speed
не
up the
можем стоять на
process.
их пути.
We
Лучшее,
want
что мы можем
children to
сделать, это не
find
стоять на их
themselves.
пути, а
We
поддержать
should
их,
not be
сказать,
standing in their
что
path
им
and support them
для этого нужно.
when they tell us what they need for it. Through what crisis you had to go and what
Какие
were your
кризисы и ошибки.
mistakes? What kind of
Да,
conclusions
ребят,
you
мы
came
честно
to?
хотели вот прям при вас сделать такой батл, потому что у
We
меня
wanted
есть
to do a
у меня
bit of a
сложные
battle.
отношения с
I have
участием, присутствием родителей в пространстве. Вот мы хотели,
difficult
у меня есть
relationship
3
with the
пункта, которые я
presence of the
обозначила.
parents in
Вот.
this space. There are 3
Коротко.
bullets. Briefly,
Пространство разновозрастное.
the space has different ages. There are
Есть
small
средние, есть
kids.
постарше, им уже не нужна
They
помощь.
need more help, and
Самый
then there
старший сейчас
are
11.
the oldest one is
11, ну, не
11,
очень
12.
большие. Мы
Not
очень
that
стараемся
many.
найти
We were
подростков,
trying
чтобы была вот эта
to find the
лесенка до конца,
teenagers.
но не доверяют родители такому
Parents don't
диет.
trust.
Мы растим своих.
Not yet.
Да, разновозрастные. Значит, моя первая...
Что это про кризисы? Вот,
Это про
твои
кризисы,
да?
да. Маленькому нужна помощь.
So the little one
Родитель
needs
или
help.
другой родитель
A parent
оказывает
or
эту
another
помощь.
parent offers his
Приходит другой,
help.
говорит, ой,
Then
мне
a
тоже
child,
хочется хлеба с маслом.
somebody else comes.
Приходит,
Oh, I
«Ну,
want.
хорошо». И мы
Oh, I
такие,
also want
вместо того,
planted
чтобы
butter.
развить
So
эту
instead of
самостоятельность, на которую мы так хотим, рассчитываем,
developing this sort of self-reliability, they want this bread and butter,
это
right?
один маленький пример.
This is one example.
Если это часть батла, да, то
If this is a part of the battle,
очень уютно слышать.
I'm very comfortable to hear about it because I like that there are parents and there are sometimes parents, sometimes not parents, sometimes kids feel one way. For instance, my daughter, I don't see her when I'm 2 days that I'm there. Yes, we want to get care from our parents. Bread and butter when I'm with my husband. I don't wanna. When I'm with my husband, I want to get. I want, rather than pouring the wine for myself, I want my husband to do. It's great when parents are together with their children. They get this care, but it's not too much. There are 2 days, and the rest of the days they're opening the fridge, and it's not a conflict. It's
Вторая сложность, второй пункт.
second difficulty.
Второй пункт.
Second bullet is
Мне кажется, не каждый родитель может
Not
участвовать.
every
А пока,
parent can
как вот
participate,
пространство
but so
устроено,
far,
он обязан.
the
Один-два
way
дня. У нас даже есть
the
такая хитрая
space is
система.
set up,
Чуть-чуть больше денег, меньше участия.
more money, less
Есть люди, которые
participation.
по экономическим причинам не могут.
For
Оба
economic
родителя
reasons,
работают. Никто им в
both
этом не
parents
может
work.
обвинить.
You cannot blame
Есть
them.
причины,
There are
взрослые
reasons adults are in depression.
не
They're
ему
sad.
не клево в таком живом
not that-
пространстве, не детям от такого
It's not
взрослого.
good
Мы
neither
все
for
проходим через
parents
что-то.
nor for children.
Ну, с этим у нас тоже, в
But
общем,
we
мне
also
кажется,
have,
несложно, да.
it's not
У нас
complicated with them,
родители берут иногда отпуск,
because
как и все живые люди, да, если они
parents do take
тяжело или
vacation
устали, они
if
могут
it's
или в
difficult for
депрессии,
them
или
or in they're depressed.
По поводу того, что не все могут, да, например, кто-то... Понятно.
Not
Есть
everybody
разные
can.
проекты, да.
Somebody
Наш
works
про
for
то,
five
что
days.
находятся внутри.
Our
Один,
project
два
is
дня
that
они внутри,
1-2
если
days
ты не
parents
можешь,
are inside.
есть,
If you
правда, много
cannot,
других проектов. То есть
there are
это как бы,
other
ну,
projects.
понятно.
Есть
about-
один большой плюс.
There is one
удачи.
plus.
Мы берем стоимость за семью.
We
не
take,
наказываем
we
тех,
charge
у
per
кого больше
family.
детей.
We don't punish those who have
Реально.
more children.
И третий пункт.
And number 3,
Опять же, посмотрите, если посмотрите
again, if
модель
you look
Sudbury
at
Valley, там
the
есть
Sudbury Valley model,
учащийся, есть став.
there are students
Став
and
от
there are
английского слова
staff.
сотрудник,
Staff.
такой человек, который вот держит пространство.
Is the
Если
person
кому-то
who
что-то
holds the
нужно,
space.
он
Like
либо
if somebody
помогает,
needs
либо
it, it
подсказывает,
either
как найти
helps
помощь. Вот.
or
Это
just
не
tells how
учитель,
to find.
это не
It's not a
уборщик,
teacher, it's not
это
a
член
cleaning
пространства.
person, it's the
Он,
member of the space.
тот взрослый, который тоже имеет право
An
голоса.
adult who
Но
has a right of
не
vote.
знаю, 1 на 7, на 10, на 15.
But it's like
учеников в
1
школах
per
по-разному.
7,
Вот у
10,
нас есть тоже
15.
два человека стафа.
We have 2
Есть
persons of
родители.
staff and then there
И
are
мне
parents.
иногда сложно
And
понять,
sometimes it's
что может
difficult to
или не
understand
может
for
делать
me
родитель по сравнению со стафом. Если
what
подойдет
the
ребенок к
parent
стафу и
can
скажет, я
do
хочу
comparison to
почитай
staff.
мне эту книжку.
Please read this book for me.
Я как родитель могу сказать,
I,
знаешь
as
что,
a
вот
parent, I
мне
would
очень
say,
важно
no, no, no,
сейчас,
it's very
там, с кем-то
important
поговорить,
for me
или
to finish this
доделать, или я
conversation
чем-то
or finish.
занят, да?
I'm busy with this
А,
something.
И потом я к тебе вернусь. И
And
я
then I'll
скажу,
come back to
слушай,
you,
у меня
and I
такая-
can,
такая мигрень.
and I
Мне
say,
очень
oh,
не хочется.
I have
Вот,
such a headache.
в нашем пространстве человек может оставаться собой. То есть
In our
не
space,
учитель,
the
который
person
должен
can
достать
stay
себя и
yourself.
сделать, потому что тебя наняли,
You're
и
not
ты
a
должен.
teacher because you
Ты можешь
must
оставаться
do it
собой.
because you were
Как?
hired.
Личности,
You
так и
can
по своим чувствам. Став — это
Remain
как раз тот
yourself.
маленький человек,
Staff
который
is the
больше
hired
10 раз
person.
надо подумать перед чем как отказать, потому что его попросили, и он там вот с той
Staff is
функцией,
there with that
а,
function.
respond,
Отвечать.
отвечать на запрос.
Just to respond to the
Мне,
request.
вот мне иногда бывает сложно. То есть
And
я,
sometimes
ну,
it's difficult
это,
for,
можно сказать,
for
такая
me.
внутренняя, знаете, вот
This is like
невидимый глаз.
invisible eye
меня
that is
смотрит и
looking at me and
оценивает, что я сейчас
evaluating me.
поступаю в этом пространстве как родитель или нет.
Am I
Могу я
doing
идти
well
сейчас
in
и
this
переводить
space?
свою книгу в текст,
And
нужный текст. Потому
can
что
I
мне хочется, мне
hide
нужно это сделать,
and
и
translate
мне
my
нужна
book?
тишина.
And I
Я
need
могу это, знаешь,
silence,
дети,
you know.
там, да?
Children,
А,
go away.
Или кто? Вот кто я?
Or
Кто я?
who am I in this
Это
space?
опять про внутренний рост
It's
родителей,
about
да,
the
то есть
internal
вот,
growth of
родители
the parents,
взрослые дети все время проходят
because
через
adults
этот
and
вопрос. Могу я
parents,
отказать?
they
Мне
go
кажется,
through
все
these
начинают с того,
questions.
что, отвечают на все запросы детей,
Can I
хотят везде подхватить,
refuse?
а потом постепенно
And
понимаешь, что, например, если я на
they
все
understand
запросы
that
отвечаю, я ничего
if
не
I
могу,
respond to all
например,
the
сделать, что я
requests,
хотела
I
сделать.
cannot do everything that I wanted to do. It's like in the family.
Этот рост происходит. Появление стафа для
The appearance of staff was
освобождением, да,
a bit of a liberation because staff has this responsibility to support its space. Staff will open Удача at a certain time and change and check whether all the kids are going home. There are not that many of those responsibilities, but it allows adults not to be adults are there for themselves, not only for kids, but for themselves. They honestly do what they want. They translate the book, make a lamp, choose the music for a certain. So these are also parents, but there, for instance, for like 2 weeks, 2 days a week and stuff, or 4 days a week. They will make the super circle better, the Judicial Committee, children, no rules. The best, if you do something wrong, you don't eat, don't forget to turn off tools, Niska or stuff. Since they're in the space, they're also helping parents who are there for 2 weeks, 2 days a week. Larysa from day one is the heart of the space.
She has 7 kids, and kids really love her. But the financial situation and economic situation was such that she needed to find a job. And they told her, Larysa, you have a job. We'll find a job for you. Please stay. Please don't leave. We can't lose you. And the other staff person was here after the first year, and we didn't even realize how difficult this task was until we'd hired a second person at year 2. And this person has been with us for the whole year. So you have to get to know the person, and you have to sort of sense it, feel it. When I'm going to conferences on democratic education or Sudbury conferences, I see it as a school, because their concept of the school is where the kids live and study, but they don't split it. And I support this idea of schools, but for the generalities, I don't want to be associated with the baggage that means. No, we didn't get any license for education and attestation, and we don't really want to go into that legal terrain, because we understand there's going to be so many requirements that are so unrelated to the real life of a human being. Can you elaborate? Because schools get registered formally, they somehow pass this accreditation, and as a result, they get some kind of accreditation one way or another. Sorry, I got a hint that if you're curious, this is lunchtime. We need to vacate the room, so we can either have lunch together or we can continue the conversation on the regular basis. Thank you for your attention and interest.